Welcome to Conversations. I'm Suresh Kochatan. Before I get on with this video, I would request you to like, subscribe, and of course, ring the notification bell so that you get the latest updates whenever I post a video. We begin with a major political firestorm unfolding in the United States of America. Just hours after a National Guard died in what the White House has described as a terrorist attack near its perimeter, President Donald Trump has issued one of his most harshest and sweeping statements yet on immigration. In an explosive social media tirade, the president has vowed to permanently pause migration from all third world countries, launch mass deportation, and even strip citizenship from immigrants he says are incompatible with Western civilization. As today, as we speak, let's break down this attack down to the last bit. Let's take the president's reaction in the first place and also the new USCIS guidelines that have been quietly rolled out and what this means for America and the world. The immediate trigger for President's outburst was a deadly incident near the White House on Thursday. Authorities say a former CIA conscript from Afghanistan, Rahatullah Lakhanwal, opened fire on two US military personnel just 3 blocks from the White House. A National Guard member was fatally wounded and another critically injured. The suspect, who officials say migrated to the United States after assisting Americans' intelligence operation, was quickly apprehended. Investigation into his motives and his affiliations are ongoing, but the political fallout was immediate and fierce. President Trump took to the social media with 2 angry posts within hours of the attack, calling the incident proof of what he described as decades of failed bipartisan immigration policies. His target was clear. It was former President Biden. President Trump's reaction was not simply emotional. It was transformational. His language signals a dramatic escalation beyond the travel bans and asylum restrictions of his first term in office. President Trump declared he would permanently pause migration from all third world countries, terminate all illegal Biden-era admissions, and end all federal benefits for non-citizens, deport anyone he deems as a public charge, security risk, or non-compatible with Western civilization, and most controversially, denaturalize immigrants who undermine domestic tranquility. Legal experts say such measures, particularly the revocation of citizenship, would push the United States into untested constitutional territory. But President Trump was not done just yet. He claimed that the reverse migration is the only solution, arguing that America must reduce its immigrant population in order to recover socially and economically. Even as the president made these sweeping promises, parallel development was quietly taking shape within the government machinery. The United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, or USCIS, has issued new guidelines that could dramatically alter how green cards are evaluated. Under these new rules, immigration officers would consider negative, country-specific factors before approving applications from individuals belonging to 19 nations. These nations include, among others, Afghanistan, Myanmar, Somalia, Chad, the Republic of Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Sudan, Yemen, Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and of course, Trump's favorite, Venezuela. The list touches several continents, and many nations have faced conflict, authoritarianism, or economic collapse that made the people flee from those countries. Officials say that the new guidance could be implemented through an executive order if Congress resists. This would be the most sweeping restriction on immigration in modern American history. But the president's fiery rhetoric contains several claims that experts claim are misleading or outright false. President Trump stated that most of the 53 million foreign-born residents in the United States are on welfare from failed nations or from prisons, mental institutions, or gangs and drug cartels. He also said that a green card holder earning $30,000 per annum receives roughly $50,000 in yearly benefits for their family. Economists say that these claims do not hold up. Immigrants contribute around $1.6 trillion more in taxes than they consume. According to the Congressional Budget Office 2024, studies by multiple independent research institutions show that undocumented immigrants are ineligible for nearly all the federal benefits. Legal immigrants must wait for 5 years before accessing most programs such as Medicare or SNAP. Immigrants contribute significantly to the long-term economic growth and help stabilize Social Security and Medicare systems. Economists warn that without immigration, the United States would face a demographic crisis similar to what Japan and parts of Europe are going through. One of the most heated parts of President's message was the targeted state of Minnesota, home to the largest Somali American community in the United States. Trump alleged that hundreds of thousands of refugees from Somalia are taking over Minnesota, claiming that Somalian gangs are roaming around the streets and residents live in fear. But available data tells a very different story. Somali ancestry population is in the range of around 64,000 to 80,000, not hundreds of thousands as President Trump claims. Some gang violence of course exists, but that is limited to a small subsect of youth within the Somali community. The Somali American entrepreneurship has revitalized several local economies. Community leaders say that President's remarks distort isolated incidents and endanger vulnerable population by fueling suspicion and hostility. President Trump also directly attacked two high-profile Minnesota Democrats, Governor Tim Walz and Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. President Trump called Governor Walz seriously retarded, using a language widely condemned by disability advocates and offensive and inappropriate. He then accused Representative Ilhan Omar, one of the first Muslim women in Congress, of entering the country illegally by marrying her brother. This allegation has been circulating since 2016 and has been repeatedly investigated by journalists in Minnesota. They of course found no evidence, concluding that these claims stem from mistaken identity and forged documents. Omar, they claim, arrived in the United States as a refugee child in 1992 and became a citizen in 2000. Despite this, President Trump continued to assert the accusation while also saying Omar hates America. Democratic lawmakers called the attacks dangerous and inflammatory, saying that they risk inciting violence against elected officials and minority communities. So, where does all this leave America's immigration landscape? Insiders say that the president's remark may soon be translated into a concrete policy via executive order, especially the Green Card Review Guidelines and the expanded public charge definition. If implemented, these changes could reduce legal immigrations drastically, slow down refugee resettlement, increase green card denials, trigger legal challenges in federal courts, creates significant diplomatic tension with affected nations. Critics also argue that such sweeping restrictions risk defining American identity itself, shifting it from a nation built on immigration to one built on exclusion. Supporters of President Trump, however, say that the president is fulfilling his promise to prioritize national security and restore law and order. The events that were happening yesterday mark one of the most dramatic escalations of America's long-running immigration debate. From the tragic killing of a National Guard member to the president's sweeping denunciation of decades of policy, the United States is again confronted with fundamental questions about who belongs, how security should be ensured, and what kind of nation it intends to be. We will continue tracking the story as it develops. For now, this is Suresh Kochatal here, signing off. Thank you for watching. Jai Hind.